Hey, everybody. Our guest today is going to be well known to many of you. He is probably the most tireless and good natured advocate for Major League Soccer in America. Formerly the sports editor of the University Daily Kansan, he went on to host and produce Extra Time Radio for many, many years, also hosts Instant Replay. And now he's a features and sideline reporter covering MLS on Apple TV, the pride of Wichita, an alumnus of the University of Kansas, and the star of a very short and compelling film that involves an out of control champagne bottle. Andrew Wiebe, welcome to Scuffed.
Oh, wow. It's just an absolute honor to be introduced with such glowing and well-researched vernacular. That you're going deep. You're going deep. And I appreciate it. The University of Daily Kansas appreciates it. Wichita appreciates it. Towtown stand up, even though I probably will maybe never return there in my life. It still holds a deep, healthy place in my upbringing. But yeah, no, it's great to be here on Scuffed. I've been lurking in the Discord for many years now, listening for longer than that, and just hearing you introduce Bells and hearing I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like a warm blanket that gets pulled over me with your voice. I'm happy to be here.
You really lived up to your good-natured introduction you just got there with that for the introduction.
You know what? If you get that reputation, what a shame it would be to ruin it, to piss on it, just to be
It's a great reputation.
Yeah,
it's a great
what
reputation.
a shame.
Hey man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm still stuck on Towtown.
You know what? There's many sides of Towtown, Vince. Like
Okay.
High school Andrew could tell you the many different cultural wrinkles that go through that city, and some of them are not more positive than others. Let's just say.
Isn't Barry Sanders from Wichita?
He is.
Yeah.
He is. His parents lived across the street from my parents' best friends, Wichita North alumnus.
You know, with all due respect to Richie Ledesma, I would say Barry Sanders is probably my favorite athlete of all time. You know, he's.
I think that's in the comparison between the two. No, not to be harsh on Richie. I think Barry's going to take the crown there.
I was looking into Wichita. I think this is the largest city I know nothing about.
That is a perfect way to describe Wichita. When you said I was looking into Wichita, I just pins and needles, Chris. Just so I just didn't know where that could possibly go. But you've summed up Wichita very successfully.
I was shocked to learn it's the 51st biggest city.
Yeah,
what is something that we should know
think.
about it?
Yeah, I would say that it's one of many cities that are exactly the same in the Midwest. Like, Des Moines and Wichita, if you drove through any given part of them, how much difference could you see or tell? But maybe not a ton. Like those mid-sized cities in that part of the country, it's like, yeah, you're going to run into people who tell you that it's nice to raise a family there, that the cost of living is good, and it's getting more entrepreneurial. That's Wichita, man, and it was a great place to grow up.
That's exactly what all these Midwestern cities say.
They probably have a T-shirt. I love Wichita, like Wichita Pride. Like that's the. Hey man, just groove it, and hit a dinger, hit it out of the park. Every single one of those cities has got the same sort of business plan they're running. It's kind of working.
We need like 3 or 5 of these cities to pan out, or we're just going to collapse as a nation. We don't need to get into that right now, but hopefully Wichita can be one of them.
You know, I love talking about collapse, Chris.
I know. I'm surprised we weren't talking about it before recording.
All right, let's talk about soccer a little bit. So, Andrew, you recently watched from a few feet away as Javier Mascherano relayed instructions to one Lionel Messi. Please talk us through the visceral experience of being in Messi's presence. This is, very likely the most famous person on earth. He's a godlike figure in lots of places in the world. What's that like?
I'm only partially joking when I say that I'm like not trying to look him in the eye when I'm on the sideline and around him. Like I'm only like I'm kind of glancing, but I'm not just staring him down, and I don't think he's even seeing me in the slightest. The thing I noticed the most about Messi is just the focus. Like this dude is in a bubble. He is absolutely and utterly locked in on what he's doing, thinking, trying to accomplish, who he's frustrated at on the field, whether that's a teammate, an opponent, the referee, and you just can't break that focus. And to me, that seems like, apart from all the obvious stuff, the technical and tactical and physical brilliance, like that seems like a superpower that will get you a long way, of just being sort of unbreakable in terms of your engagement in the moment. And I think you could even you can even sort of port that over to like when that bubble gets broken, like when he scores a goal and he's like, all right, I'm going to let my hair down a little bit. I'm going to go, high five my kids on the sideline, or in a different life, I'm going to take my jersey off and taunt the Real Madrid fans. Like, in his moment, he's just so freaking locked in. And it's very clear to me that Javier Mascherano is just on a very similar wavelength and a long-term wavelength with all of these Barca guys for obvious reasons. It's a friendship that is now a professional sort of coach-player relationship, but like Messi is just as much calling shots, I think, in that club as anyone else, and that's not just Javier. That goes up and down the club, and it seems to me early on like Masche is a really, really good fit for this team in terms of those relationships, but also his experience with young players and his desire to just put them out there and let them roll. Like, that's what this team needs. Miami needs their stars to thrive, but for those guys to thrive, they need guys that are just going to run their pants off and like be excited to be there.
Is the eyesight, the no eye contact thing, is that you just trying to be reverent? Like, what's the
just not
is there
trying to
something
just
about
trying
him
not
that
to be weird? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not trying to be
Yeah.
like thirsty for eye contact with the goat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you might see your friend and you're like, yeah. I'm like, let me get this dude's like across the room. Like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? But I'm not like, hey, Lionel, hey, it's me. It's who? No, I'm just trying to watch everything he does in a way where he doesn't feel like I'm watching him, because I'm sure that his entire life is spent in a place where it feels like everybody's watching him all the time. So I don't want to be the weird guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like that. Like, who's that Midwesterner guy in a suit on the sideline who just keeps smiling at me strangely?
Yeah, he looks like he's from Wichita.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly. It's like, it's what anonymous city is this man from?
Are there any other people down when you're down in that sideline area that you feel like you have to adjust your behavior around, or have you been working in this league long enough? You're going down there with confidence. You haven't done this exact job. Am I correct? You haven't?
Yeah, no, you're correct. I've
But
dabbled. I've dabbled a bit.
You must
over
have
the years.
learned enough. You have a comfort as a professional. Are you moving freely about? Do they tell you where you need to sit, or are you making the rules up for yourself?
Oh, no, I'm definitely not making the rules up. Look, in Miami, there are specific rules in terms of where you can be and sit and stand. Other stadiums have much more free reign to move around a little bit. No, other than Messi, there's nobody I feel that way about. I think just over the years, like, those feelings have kind of faded away. But for whatever reason, obvious reasons, I guess, Lionel is on a different perch. No, I'm trying to do my job, which is I'm trying to get information about anything I can, whether that's talking to people. That includes the referee crew that's there. That includes both staffs. That includes anybody I can get my hands on. And what I'm learning is just as much as just being extremely observational, just trying to watch, internalize, interpret every single thing I see, and be able to recognize the moments that are important and are big, and the moments that are just sort of like throwaway moments that happen all the time. And I'm still learning that. I mean, I just did an interview with Cameron Meyer in Soccer America, and I really enjoyed talking to him. And I made the comparison in there, and my wife said I shouldn't have done it, but I think it's just true in that, if this is an art form, sideline reporting, I'm finger painting. Like, I'm just sort of figuring out in, the medium. And I'm really thankful to people like Jillian Sakovitz and Katie Witham and a bunch of producers around the industry that I've spoken to and have helped me. And of course, Jake Zivin and Taylor Twellman and Brad Mertel, who are sort of the dream team that I'm working with every week, for helping me figure this out on the fly. But I am figuring it out on the fly. The thing is, that's been my whole career at MLS. I've been pushed into situations where either I wasn't comfortable or it was new over and over and over. And at some point, I just decided, like, yeah, okay, like, I'm just going to make it work every time, because what other choice do I have? And it's fun. Like, it's fun to try new things. It's fun to be challenged, and I'm having a ton of fun right now figuring this out.
Andrew, so with this new role and everything that you just mentioned, as far as, like, if you were to catch eyes with Messi, he'd be like, who's this Joe Schmo?
Or maybe he wouldn't, Vince. Maybe he wouldn't, and maybe that would maybe that's what I'm afraid of. I don't know.
Okay, and so because of when you do get your moment, I want to ask you this. Is two-part question, kind of. Number one, how vain are you, or how vain have you become with this new role? And number two, do you feel any pressure to maybe not look like you're from the Midwest?
Well, a second question we'll answer first. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I've felt that pressure from the moment I moved to Brooklyn, New York, and was like, oh, this is how people with taste dress and behave in public. I mean, I had to change my entire look. It was like a beautiful thing for me actually in life. I was 25 years old. I moved to Brooklyn, New York, and I was like, I can be a completely different person than I was in Wichita, Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. So yeah, no, I for sure am trying to dress as if I am not a Midwesterner, even though I'm proudly one. I happily have dipped my toes in the menswear waters in the last couple years. Suit supply has become a go-to for me. I don't get paid to say that. I wish I did. That would be sick, coming out of my pocket, which is tough. But I enjoy putting on a nice suit and hitting the sideline. And how vain am I? Well, I almost forgot the first question as I talked about my menswear obsession. So, I guess the meter is ticking toward more vain than before. But my wife keeps me pretty. She keeps me pretty grounded and slaps me down pretty good anytime I'm acting a fool in any way. And at the end of the day, I'm still just I'm a dude from Wichita, Kansas, and I'm really fortunate to be in this position. I know that a lot of hard work went into it, and I think I deserve to be where I'm at in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean I'm special. There's a lot of people that could have done it and would have done it had they got the same opportunities that I did. So just trying to put that suit on and make you believe, bro. Make you believe I'm something I'm not.
I like the finger painting metaphor. So you can tell your wife that if you want. And
Because I have a 4 and a 7-year-old bells. It's like all I know.
Well, I wonder. So what's the first trick you've learned about how to make good content from the sideline? Like what give us a couple insights.
It's always less. It's always less than you think it is. I mean, I think that's the number one thing I've learned working more in traditional quote unquote TV. I came from a background on podcasting, as you guys know, and that's an arena where you can just air it out, like say what you want to say, like explore the idea, go back and forth. That's not TV. TV, you need to be really effective at understanding your moment, having a good feel for what your message is, and then really sort of crafting that message in the right format, length, and with the right sort of vocal intonation to have it land and deliver. And it's not a natural way of speaking in a lot of ways. It's not conversational sometimes, but you have to find a way to bridge that and that product you have to have, and then make it conversational so the person at home is not just like, well, who is this reporter robot talking at me? And that's, I mean, I'm still figuring that out. And I've had a broadcast coach through MLS, and I'm super thankful for them setting me up with that for the last couple years. And boy, I've had some rough days with her where she's just torn me apart. But I consistently see myself improving and getting better. And I just always have to drill into my mind that less is more, because more is just more, and there's not time for it on TV.
How many times are you cut to in a game typically? Like 10?
No, it's
many?
more in a game on the sideline. It's more like 3, 4, 5 times. It's not a huge amount. So that's where you have to be really judicious and targeted. I mean, I'm pitching throughout the game. I'm in the producer's ear. I'm like, hey, I'm seeing this, and a lot of what I see and say to the producer gets into the broadcast via communication to Taylor and Jake. It may not always be me saying it, but I guess if you include all the interviews and all the pregame hits, 10 to 12 times. And so you're not. It's a limited number of at bats, so to speak. You've got to make them count.
Have you unlocked the pattern on what you say to the producer that gets you onto the broadcast?
A lot of it is just really it's all about sort of like, what do I see and hear and feel that nobody else could feel? Mm-hmm. Like that it just is impossible to see or understand if you're watching the game, whether that's on TV or whether that's in the booth. Little things like in the Miami-Toronto game a few weeks back, Brynn Hildson, the Norwegian striker, was just out there just throwing bows, and he was just trying to be Carlos Ruiz incarnate. And I could see Redondo just getting pissed. He was getting mad. And you can only see that with that little body language that you sort of notice, and the little glances and the little moments of contact that start to add up when you're right there. And then Brynhildsen got hit in the back of the head, and Redondo, I could just see was like, Redondo got hit, and I could see that Redondo just sort of marked that down and was like, I haven't played the game at a high level, but I played the game, and in those moments you mark it down, you're like, I'm gonna get that guy. Like, I'm waiting for my moment, I'm gonna get him. Like, and 3 minutes later, he got him. And so it's those sorts of stories that you can tell. Or, for example, I was right there the other day in the St. Louis game when Joshua Yarrow had the concussion protocol going on, and I was sitting right next to the medical director. And seeing the sort of like back and forth in communication with the benches and what Joshua Yarrow was saying and how they were making a decision, like those are the sorts of things that I need to lean on. And then, I'll have 5 or 6 really good stories every game, like reported out stories that I could drop in if somebody does something incredible. I'll get one in every game. We do the All-State, I believe it is player spotlight, and I'll get that in. But I have a couple others, like, for instance, for San Diego, and it never got in. But I had like a 45-minute conversation with Luca De La Torre's parents because I was just so interested in what it meant for his family, for him to be back in San Diego after leaving as a 16-year-old. So I'm just trying to talk to as many people as I can. I'm a curious person. I want to know even if it doesn't get on the broadcast. So I'm gathering information. I'm just trying to gather as much as I can and then try to help people feel the feelings that happen when you're right there on the sideline.
So I would like to hear. We don't have to go into great detail on it, but what are Luca De La Torre's parents like? Are they? I'm imagining 2 very taciturn, dark-haired, pale people.
His father, yes, his father, I believe, is from the Canary Islands. So they're both scientists and both brilliant. So that's intimidating. Yeah. His mother is much more. This is just my read off 45 minutes. Much more the sort of like warm-hearted. Loving mother figure, and his father was obviously loves his son to death, but was more like after you get done with your game against in the Mexican League on a Sunday when you're 12 years old, we're going to talk about what needs to be better. But still very loving, and is the one who cooks for Luca. They were just they were delightful, to be honest with you. And now that I'm in my dad era, the Partners in Soccer /Extratime chat will make fun of me endlessly for the vibes I put off in that sense, but I'm a sucker for a good parents are proud story, and my God, they were glowing, and they were like, yeah, he's coming over for dinner. We gave him a key. It's just, like what a great era in their life. The first year of San Diego FC, and their son is involved, and they're balling out, and he's dropping by with his girlfriend, who's also named Luca, I believe, which is kind of crazy. It's
weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You said that. I crazy.
We don't like it.
Serendipitous, somewhat strange. I don't know. But it was awesome. Yeah, it was just great.
So another thing you said in that Soccer America interview, which I recommend, everybody should go be a Soccer America subscriber and read that interview, is that, you really care about the young domestic players in MLS and their development. How are they doing? How are they doing this as a cohort right now?
Are they? I have trouble sometimes with this because I just think there's like one obvious question to it for literally every soccer country in the world, and it's like not as well as we want them to do, right? Don't we always want more? Like definitely the United States does. Argentina probably does too. Like England, France, they all want more. So I want more. I always want more. I want our coaches to play on more. I want them to get more opportunities to sort of like work through the bumps. I want them to be rewarded more. I really think that like domestic players, both in the U.S. and Canadian sense, ought to be given more U22 contracts, not just out of the goodness of GMs and sporting directors' hearts, but because they've earned them. Like they are arguably the best cohort. I mean, I don't think it's arguable. They're the best cohort of U22 players in the league. They have the most first team impact. They are the best ROI on transfers. There's a really mixed bag in terms of spending big money on U22 players and bringing them to the United States from elsewhere, and for obvious reasons. For the same reasons that if you picked up, I don't know, like what's a name that recently, Quinn Sullivan, let's just say, and dropped him in Germany right now, it probably wouldn't go that well. Like,
I mean, Brian Reynolds is a great example.
There you go. Yeah, great example. Great example. So I'm a big fan of supporting those players, and I always just want to see more from them, but certainly also more from the structure that surrounds them to encourage and promote and make the runway not necessarily smooth, I wouldn't say, but to give them what they've earned, and when they've earned, reward them. And I think more and more MLS and the clubs in the league are doing that. And even USL clubs are starting to be much more adept at doing that as well. So I'm encouraged. I really am. But am I satisfied? Hell no, never.
Are you able to pick out particular players that you're intrigued by, or we should be more excited than we are?
For sure. I mean, I got a laundry list as
Let's
always.
go.
I'm that's my bit, right? I got to have a list. I feel that my watch in terms of Pat Ajiman and the Ajiman Hive is over. I feel that he's graduated out of the intriguing list into the this could really work at a high level list. Guys that I've seen recently, I've been really impressed with, and I'll just kind of stick with some in person and some outside. Owen Wolf in person just really wowed me. I think from a technical standpoint, he's very underrated. From a physical standpoint, he's a dog. Like he's a dog. There were a number of touches in that match in Austin where I was just like, he can't possibly. Oh, he has that. He has that and more in his bag. And I think this is a really positive year for him in terms of Nico Estevez just giving him more responsibility, and also there just not being really another 10 adjacent player to replace him. So he's going to get a ton of run, and I think that's a guy that is going to make a big leap and is making a big leap. Noah Allen is another dog, and a guy that I sort of wish the U.S. wouldn't have let just sort of like waltz off to Greece quite so easily. He is not prototypical. He's a little guy, at least in terms of like, hey, you're Virgil van Dijk, ideal center back. But he's just so effective and confident and calm in that position. And when I look at Miami and I see who Javier Mascherano is leaning towards, or at least in my opinion, leaning towards in terms of who his starters are, I think Noah Allen is one of them. And for a guy like that to give him the vote of approval, given his history and kind of the similarity as players, I think that's huge. Finn Sermon is another one. I guess he's not domestic, is he? I mean, none of us are from New Zealand, but he's a young player that I'm super impressed by.
I've never heard of him.
You know what? Last year I hadn't either. When he started on decision day, I was preparing for that game, and I was like, "This sounds like a EA Sports FIFA gin name." It's like watching the GA Cup. Sometimes you're like, "Who the what?" Like what a name! What a name! But a really really good player. Like very 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 traditional, I'd say, as a center back. But I think has a big ceiling, and Phil Neville will talk your ear off about him. Alex Freeman. I don't know if you guys are on the Alex Freeman train.
No, I'm not.
But Orlando City's outside back, he has all the pieces, both physically and technically, and now it's a question of him just getting extended run in that lineup. So keep an eye on him. And I think CJ Dos Santos is a really good goalkeeper prospect that's starting to finally get his opportunity, and he's played really well for San Diego. And then I'm always going to hold on to my Nathan Saliba stock. I just, come on, Montreal, just please. You have so many good young players. Just stop being a train wreck. Like the one year they weren't a train wreck when Wilfred was there, they were printing money, printing it, and now they're printing L's and disappointment. And I just want them to be better. So,
Go ahead, Vince.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, you weren't. Okay. So I have two questions about the Sullivans. Number one, we had David Goss on here a couple months ago. He said Kevin Sullivan was gonna definitely play 1,000 minutes this season. How angry should we be with him for that prediction?
Well, should we be angry with Dave or should we direct our anger at Bradley Carnell? And I don't even know if you would direct your anger. I actually think this might be the best thing that could happen for Kevin, is that he has a manager who is going to demand an awful lot of him. Like, Jim was so deep in that club and deep with Sullivan's as well. And he was the perfect manager, I think, to bring Kevin in. And I think under Jim, Kevin would have thrived as well. But there comes a time probably where the coach just has to say, I need you to defend at a different level than you're defending, or I need this to be better if you're going to see the field. And for a young player to have to jump up and meet the threshold. Like Kevin Sullivan's talent is unquestionable. Like the dude has, watching him in person, his aura, I don't even know. I don't have the words to describe it. He's just it's like I've never believed in anything, let alone myself, the way that Kevin clearly believes in himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's an incredible it's a unique thing, and only people that truly have abilities at a crazy high level are liable to have that, and he has it. But the modern game is about more than that, man. It's about defending. It's about being like physically super capable, and that's the demand that's going to come for Quinn, or excuse me, for Kevin. And I just dropped Quinn. It might be the best thing in the world for Quinn that he's got a younger brother who's hyped this much, because he's just like rolling along steadily under the radar, doing a lot of the things that we want Kevin to do someday.
Well, let me play a question from a listener about that. Here we go.
Hey guys, Reese from Arizona here. Lots to talk about Kevin Sullivan these days, and rightfully so. But I want to take a second to talk about his brother Quinn and get your guys' thoughts on that. I think based on his play this year and last season, he deserves to be in the national team picture just as much as guys like Jack McGlynn and Diego Luna. You know, fans are talking a lot about wanting guys with hustle and guys that'll just try stuff and take players on, and I think Quinn fits a lot of those characteristics that maybe fans feel that the team is missing right now. Obviously not the finished product, but he's really seems like he's turning a corner this season, and I think he deserves a shot. Curious to know what you guys think, what Wiebe thinks, and yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about necessarily like first team national team camps competitive games, but I completely agree that getting Quinn Sullivan to the group would be a positive thing. To me, he's a throwback. He's a throwback to some of the national teams of old, and let's not pretend like those guys weren't super technical and really good on the ball. And I think Quinn is better on the ball than he gets credit for, but he's relentless. He's completely relentless, and he just runs at you, and he does it over and over and over, and he's happy to take a punch and throw a punch. And like I like those players, and I extra like it when you can do all those things and then you're putting up box score numbers as well. I'm curious to see what he might look like in a different system, because the way Philly plays is
That's the thing.
extremely unique. But I'm curious. I'd just be curious. Like, it's not that I'm like, hey, trade him, Philly. I'm just curious. I just would love to see it.
Man, I see that's the thing, because Quinn does have, you know, the intangibles, as you laid out, but and the skill. No, I'm not trying to downplay the skill, but the times I've checked in to watch Quinn Sullivan, yeah, Philadelphia just play some, I mean, disgusting ball. The absolutely disgusting ball. I'm not gonna lie. It like to the point to where I'm like, man, I mean, Quinn's doing all right, but it's like, yeah, I would like to see him somewhere else. Well, not even somewhere else. He can stay at Philly and keep doing his thing. But yeah, I think maybe an A-team camp might be the environment where we can see what he really has in his bag. Because for me right now, it's kind of hard to tell just based on the way the Philadelphia plays.
I get it. I would also, I mean, as you said that, I was thinking about Jack McGlynn. And Jack McGlynn is a guy that we just begged to see in a different environment, and said, hey, this guy's skill set doesn't really fit with the Union in a lot of ways. And yet he thrived in Philly, and I think has had a little bit of not a bumpy go, but just a figuring it out moment with the Houston Dynamo in a system that is much more on paper matching with his skill set. So, look, am I curious? I'm always curious. Am I curious to see them in the national team? Of course. Does there need to be some sort of like ideation process in terms of who can make it? I mean, if we're not doing that right now, I don't know what we're doing.
You took Jack McGlynn to a Texas rodeo fair when you were in Houston.
Oh, I did.
You made him try on some cowboy hats. Then I don't know if we saw you eat barbecue, but I know you.
I ate barbecue. Nobody wanted to see me eat barbecue. They just wanted to see Jack.
So the producers made a decision. We'll just show Jack eating the barbecue.
I'm sure.
And then we did see you playing carnival games together. Did you learn anything about Jack during that time you spent with him?
Well, I definitely learned that people on the East Coast are much more sheltered in terms of Midwestern and Southern culture than I had any idea. Jack had never seen a cowboy before. So the moment, like, a cowboy person in a cowboy hat, I'm not even sure you would define these people as necessarily cowboys, all of them at least. Right. I mean, he rolled up on this rodeo and was like, this is stuff I've never, this is like in a movie stuff for me. He was a great dude. He was a really great dude. He was, for being a young guy, he was really mature and open, and both on and off camera, just sort of curious about the situation we were in, about me, about the city, and very open about what he was going through and trying to figure out. And not all kids that are 20, 21 are able to be that way. And Jack, I just came away thinking like, this guy's really mature. It's a big opportunity for him. I think he'll find a way to swim. And it hasn't happened immediately for him, but I think he's starting to show signs. Then trying to figure out exactly where in this team he best fits.
And are you picking the activities for these excursions you're doing with players? Is this a conversation with a producer?
Yeah. It's a collaborative process. I'm pitching like crazy though, because I want to get these guys outside of the facilities. There's been sort of for a long time you saw MLS interviews go down in the training facility, and that's like if somebody came and interviewed me at my job. You're just different. You're just different. So like I'm not a sushi guy, and I know I'm not a sushi guy, but I thought it would be funny and good TV if Maya Yoshida helped me try sushi and explained it to me.
So you pitched the sushi.
I pitched the sushi thing
because
yes.
you said in there you had never had sushi before.
No, I definitely had never had sashimi. I'd had like the most basic, like this is not sushi rolls.
Okay.
Little California roll.
Fake crab
Volcano.
sort of joints. Yeah. Or like, tempura shrimp, just so I don't look like an idiot ordering teriyaki chicken and fried rice every time I go to sushi with my family. But I was like, I'm doing it. I'm barreling over the edge. But we've got some good stuff cooked up. I think in Kansas City, I'm going to play chess against Dan Jovovich, who's like a chess master.
Huh.
Yeah, the Brandon Vasquez one, I was like, we need to do something very Austin. And he was into boots. Like he already had a pair of boots that he had recently gotten, so he was all about the idea. And I got to tell you, once you start trying on cowboy boots, you're like, sadly this goes back to Vince's vein question. You're like, I feel and look good. Like these are tight. I don't want to take these off.
At least the video led me to believe that you bought boots and he did as well. Were those genuine purchases, or is that for show? Did you buy a pair of
I
boots?
just want to shout out to Kovas. I just want to, what an incredible supporter of soccer and cowboy boot ambition in this country. I would have purchased those boots. I want that to be known.
You're on the take.
But they were nice enough to comp those boots in the end. So that's a free pair of boots for your boy.
But you got the boots.
I got the boots, and they're amazing. They're so comfortable.
That's nice, man. Because I think I was gonna ask you about this, but earlier you said you're paying for your suits out of pocket. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. No. It's.
Well,
I'm
here's
paid.
what we do.
I'm paid. My job is that I do this, and I'm paid to do that job. And then
you just take the next player suit shopping.
That's a good plan.
You can buy.
I did actually email Suit Supply.
I
emailed Suit Supply, and I was like, "Do you have an influencer program?" And they're like, "That doesn't exist for us." And I've since seen a number of Instagram menswear influencers who are clearly on the Suit Supply take. So that knocked the vanity down to a 0, Vince.
Understood. Rich, real quick before we go anywhere else, Wiebe, I'm just wondering, have you met Papa Sullivan?
I have not. No, but
Okay.
I would love to. I don't think we're doing a Philly game. That would be a great feature. Maybe I don't know, a family dinner at the Sullivans. And
Okay.
like, Kevin, come up here.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, man, because based off the MLS documentary, that's a character that I would love to get to know.
Yeah, I completely agree. A guy can dream. I don't think we have Philly on the schedule right now, but we do have some flex games. So come on, that Ty Barabo train needs to keep rolling. We need some results here.
What league do you think Diego Luna will transfer to?
I mean, if I'm betting my money on a league, it's just like a frying pan to the face, obvious answer to me, and that's Liga MX. I just think if you look at the recent history of big expenditures on MLS players and young MLS players, it's been Liga MX. And given, Diego's background, I think it would make a ton of sense for a Liga MX team to come in with a boatload of money if he continues on this trajectory and just say, yeah, we think you fit, because I think he would fit in Liga MX's style of play. and I bet he would get paid a ton of money. Like, look at Brandon Vasquez and his example here. I just think it's sort of like if you've got young Polish internationals ending up at Cruz Azul, like, come on, Diego Luna in Liga MX. I think it could make a lot of sense.
Cruz Azul living in Mexico City.
I mean, it's a good life.
Yeah, better
I
than
mean,
most of the places you'd land in Europe.
Mexico City, in my opinion, is like one of the best cities in this hemisphere. Like, it's just it's a playground. It's an amazing place.
I've never been, but everybody says that.
Yeah, you should do it. My wife is the same. I'm trying to convince her.
Can we start talking about the national team?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, sure.
So where are you right now on the USMNT emotionally?
Detached.
You can be honest.
Yeah, I will be honest. A little bit detached. Sort of you get those bouncy balls out of the machine at the supermarket, and they come in the plastic. You got to break the plastic, and like, you can do it. You can expose that bouncy ball, but like, if you wanted to keep it in there, you could keep it in there and protect it. And I've got a protective shell over my heart when it comes to this team. And and I'm a person who, at my most irrational with the national team, like big night at the bar in college, I'm wearing the Michael Bradley kit, baby. We're going with the Michael Bradley kit. Like, I'm jumping up and down when Josie scores in Spain, and like, it's on delay, and my roommates tried to ruin it for me, and I'm just losing my mind. Like, I until I started covering it, I was living it. But right now, I'm just sort of, I'm trying. I got a lot of things going on, and I can't give too much emotional energy to something that doesn't always feel like it gives as much back as I want it to.
Now, is there something that they can do this summer or coming up here to stir your heart, inspire you, or is it more you just need a little bit of time?
I think there's a big element of it's just me, and also like different points in life. But I think if I had to envision a scenario where my heart is a flutter, it would be less about quality soccer and aesthetics, and it would be more about like watching the Gold Cup and just feeling like this team likes each other, that they fight for each other, that they're happy to wade into CONCACAF and circle the wagons and like throw on some brass knuckles and just be like, let's bleep some fools up. Like, let's, we're better soccer players than they are, but like, let's get after it. Like, let's make them hurt. Let's not like pretty them to death. Like, we can win 4-0, sure, but let's break them. Like, I want to see like ruthlessness and like a pack of wolves. That's what I need to feel that again. I need to feel like we're hunting and we feel like the hunters, and that like players are happy to not just do beautiful things with the ball and then build up and score these great goals and thrive for their club teams. But like, when they get together, they're just like, yeah, like Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, Saudi Arabia, like, you're dead meat. Like, we are going to beat you down. Like, I want to feel that when I turn on a U.S. game and be on the edge of my seat, be like, get these dudes, like, let's go. And I just don't feel that sort of. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it any other way than that. I don't feel that. I don't feel that. And I want to feel that. I really want to feel that. And when we feel that, especially, I feel we feel it against Mexico, and did in the last, 5-6 years, a number of times against Mexico. That's when I was like, my phone background is the iconic picture of Pulisic and all the dudes just like peacocking on Mexico. And I just, I don't know. You, as a fan, you just kind of, your chest puffs out and you're like, get some. And I don't feel like we're giving those vibes too much.
No, we're not.
Okay.
I hope that happens. I really do. Like, I'm ready to dive back in. Like, saying all that made me feel it again.
Do you feel in your heart that Mauricio Pochettino is he gonna do that? Are you a believer?
I am not a believer that he individually can make that happen. Like, and that's not on. I'm not like dissing Pochettino at all here. I'm much more a believer that all of that is going to come directly from the players. Like, I just think that that's something that they have to create. and that Pochettino can foster and then take and apply in the most effective manners in his mind. But I don't see how a coach can walk in and create that on his own. Like it would have to be a collaborative thing, and I truly think that the driving force would have to be the players.
Weeby,
Okay,
so what do you think is going on here? You know,
I have no idea.
like it's.
I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't even want to pretend to know.
I agree with you that it can't it shouldn't necessarily be the coach, but like now we just got a whole bunch of dudes just out there seemingly going through the motions. Like how do they get out of it as a group, or who are the figures that can pull us out of it? Because you know, Tyler Adams injured, Tyler Adams in the squad, nothing has really changed, and he's supposed to be that guy, that leader that rallies the troops, gets everyone behind him. So how like what's the path out for them, you think?
They just got to do it. Like I think it comes down to like a mindset too, and that's got to be a shared mindset. And I think those mindsets get built over a long period of time. I can't sit here and tell you what it's like in a professional locker room. Would never even feign that sort of understanding. But I think we can all understand what it's like to be a part of a team. Like, and that could be a team within your workplace. That could be a team, when you're a kid, like digging fence posts or doing some sort of whatever. That could be a team like riding around your neighborhood on your bikes, you and your buddies, and like
example.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. These are my
Chad
formative
never
experiences.
never dug any fence posts.
My dad put me through a good amount of yard work as a character building exercise. It could just like leadership is important, and I think people follow those people. But I also just think leadership becomes something that everybody within the group expects from each other. And maybe they're just not. This is a maybe. I'm just guessing. Maybe they're not expecting enough of each other and holding each other to that account enough, because the results aren't there, and that's what everybody sees, and it's what they see and feel as well. And I'm sure they want it to get better. But yeah, just go punch some people in the face, man. Go get in a fight. Like, figure it out. Like, see who stands up. See who runs away. Because this team is probably not going to pretty anybody off the pitch, and certainly not in a high leverage top 15 team in the World Cup match, in my opinion, as currently constructed. So let's see something a little bit different, and maybe the good soccer will come from that as well.
Yeah, I had a couple Greg Berhalter culture war questions I was going to try to drag you into, but I'm hearing now that's not what we need. We need to be forward looking. We need to attack, and we just need to go get it done.
I'm so sort of exhausted with the Greg narratives. I just feel like that everybody and everything needs a fall guy, and Greg had this tough start in terms of like he wasn't going to get an unbiased jury from the jump, given the process and all the perceptions around that process. And I think it was a bad mix of that start for Greg being like not a Mauricio Pochettino or big time European guy that people could just say like he's an expert. Like, what do we know? He's an expert. They could second guess him, and then American fans just wanting so badly for us to turn a corner in terms of player talent and ability that I don't think anybody could bear to blame anybody but the coach, or at least the most vocal sections of the fan base didn't want to blame anybody but the coach. And do I think that Greg was perfect? No chance. But like, the Pochettino era is telling on people right now. Like it was not like Greg's results were pretty good. The performances were pretty good. I didn't really think that it was like. I didn't think it wasn't bad. But it's not just the coach. Like it's the players have to ultimately be the ones that do it. Like Bruce Arena would tell you that in the O2 team. Like, sure, could he do whatever? But yeah, it was going to have to be his guys that went out and just did the job. Now I'm gonna be a Greg stan. Everybody's scuffed.
No. You should hear what Walkie's been saying lately.
I think he's one of the, if not one of the, top 5 coaches in the world. I don't have a plan for what I'm saying here. I think he's a fantastic coach.
You did
I
say
agree.
I want him to
completely
be-
agree.
Chris
I
said
completely agree.
Chris said a couple days ago, actually, was it Monday or maybe the week before that? Mauricio Pochettino's not cool. Greg is way cool. Greg is way cooler.
He
That was
is
a couple days
cooler.
ago.
Yeah.
Man,
Monday.
So
So,
I don't know.
don't worry,
I think Greg also.
Did you see what he was wearing this past weekend? We already
Greg?
talked about that. We don't need to get into it again.
I'm big on. Is this? I'll Instagram stock it down. I'm big on the gram.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about the results. You know, we made it into like not a big deal for us to beat Mexico and punch them in the face, or at least some segments of the fan base tried to make that not a big deal. And now we can't even win a game at the Nations League semifinal.
You
Be
know what it
careful
was?
what you wish for.
Yeah.
Be careful what
that-
you wish for.
That first qualifying window killed the mojo he had going coming out of summer 2021. And I don't want to point
True.
fingers, but we got Weston McKennie
Yes.
just running around Nashville. It comes back to the players. You can't keep
You know
them in
what?
the
But
building.
I like it. You know what? I like a guy running around a little bit. I like a little personality. If you
Yeah.
think those old school USMNT guys were head on the pillow at 8:30 p.m. and getting the most rest possible and hydrated to the nth degree, you are out of your damn mind. Like
Yeah.
I think personality is a good thing. There just needs to be accountability within a group. Like you can do whatever, but when it's time, and you got to
Mhm.
deliver.
And
You
I
heard it
think
here
it didn't
first.
matter. This was the youngest, a very young group of players.
Oh, so young, so young. Yeah, look, we can. The bow that I'll put on it is I really think it comes down to what American fans, again, some segments of American fans wanted our national team to be and to be able to accomplish without necessarily reality matching up with those expectations. And when those things didn't align, there had to be somebody to blame. And Greg was taking, funny, doing backwards passes on the sidelines, and he was a target, and they got the target locked in. So
All right, so you spent a lot of time captaining the ship of Extra Time Radio, a show which I think has a really warm place in lots of soccer fans' hearts. Who has to get fired for it to come back? Who has to get fired at MLS for it to come back?
well, I hope nobody. I think there's a. I would like for it to come back. I'm actively, like, from the moment that it was no longer. Well, before that, I was trying to make sure it would not end, but I'm still trying to do that because I just think it's a great show. And I don't say that in terms of, like, again, vanity from Vince. I say that in terms of I loved doing the show. Like, it was if you were to ask me right now, you say, hey, your career in soccer media is over. What's the thing you're most proud of? It wouldn't even be a question. It would be Extra Time. Like 1 through 5, all 5 spaces on the board. It would be Extra Time. It would be the relationships that we built through Extra Time. It would be the fact that I feel that no matter who walked through the doors and who was a part of that show, whether it was Susanna Collins or Bobby Warshaw or Charlie Davies or, of course, Dave and I, or Simon Borg before that, or Nick Furshaw or Doyle, or all manner of Tom, obviously, and Kalen, and all these people, like, it just always worked. It always just felt like friends talking about soccer, and that's what I liked about it. We were sickos doing what sickos do, which is, like, talk about inane things that most people think don't matter, but my God, they matter to us. And I think it can come back. I think it's, I don't know why it couldn't, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to get there. I can't tell you that it will, but I'm actively pestering people all the time, being like, it could just come back. Like, I'm okay with ugly crying publicly multiple times and then having it just come back and be like, oh, never mind. Like, we're back. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. And I think this era of MLS deserves something like Extra Time, where you can multiple times a week be immersed in all the storylines and ridiculousness and personality-driven BS of this league, in addition to the serious stuff, which I feel we did in equal measure. So let's hope. Start the letter writing campaign.
Okay, yeah.
Just don't tell them I sent you, because I don't know how that'll work out for me. But
I remember Go ahead, Chris.
It just sounds like there's some momentum here that we could. I'm just reading between the lines.
I'm hoping.
It's time for the push.
Let's do
It's
it.
time.
I remember when we started Scuffed, it was like there were really two places where you could hear somebody talk seriously about the national team, and it was you guys and Total Soccer Show. You know, I mean, maybe there was somewhere else, but I couldn't.
That was it, buddy.
Yeah,
You know, it's funny that you say that. We were for a long time. We were really deep into the U.S. national team, and I'm
we
like,
did those club and country episodes. Like,
yeah,
right
we did a
after-
ton
yeah.
of stuff. Like we did live reactions after every game, and it was one of the real audience drivers for the show. And I think it brought us to a different group of people that weren't MLS fans that then became MLS fans off of it. Or at least became Extra Time fans or just tolerated that to hear the U.S. national team talk. But I kind of feel like that once you guys really got momentum going and I started listening to the show and the league grew, I feel like we did less and less national team. And maybe that was after Bobby
Because
left.
of us.
Not because of you. It's just the timing.
Yeah,
Felt like there were more people talking about it, and it wasn't so much like if we don't do it, it won't happen.
yeah.
And the league grew to 30 teams, and there was just like limited time for us to do X, Y, Z. And then I don't know. I started listening to you guys, and I was like, yeah, you know, they're doing it at a level. I'll just listen to that. I don't have to.
That's
always
funny
have a
because
take.
I remember there were sometimes when Doyle wanted to keep going talking about the national team, and you would like cut it off. I don't know.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
remember that too.
I mean, you had a schedule to keep. I'm not.
Yeah,
holding it
I
against
did.
you.
But now looking back on that, it's not that I regret it, but I do think back and think, well, you know what? The U.S. national team was such a powerful tool for us, both in terms of to get us fired up because we were fired up about it a lot, and also in terms to just like pull in people that we might not have otherwise. So you know what? If Extra Time ever comes back, you got yourself a competitor. We're back in
right.
the game,
wait,
baby.
Wait and see. These past 2 years have not been the absolute best time to be covering the national team.
That's fair. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So you might have made it. I think you might have.
We're
actually
hitting
made
it on
right
the
decision.
downturn, baby.
Yeah.
Buy low, buy high, sell low. You know.
Now's the time to buy. Now's the time to buy. What lessons have you learned from how Matt Doyle moves on the internet? Because I mean, he's a bit older than you, and I mean, he's kind of he's retreated a bit, right?
He has
He's-
retreated. Yeah,
uh,
you're right.
but-
It's more a retreat to Blue Sky, and he's still acerbic and biting on Blue Sky. But yeah, what I learned from him, I think, is that not everything has to be super serious. Like even when you're passing out burns, like it's the internet. Yeah, I'm not taking any of this stuff personally. Like when fan bases come after me, or you know, people call me a artisanal corn dog. Like it's all good. Like that's just objectively funny, you know. Like that's just funny. So if you can get somebody in that way, I think do it. I think do it. And what I learned from him was like take some swings, have fun. Like it doesn't have to be serious. It can be sarcastic, and you know you can kind of have a little bit of an a-hole bent if you want. But I've always just figured I'm balancing that with you know, what did you say in the intro?
Good-natured.
Good-naturedness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just have fun and don't take it too seriously. And if somebody burns you, then block them. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
He blocks. I mute just on the record. I'm a muter.
okay, yeah.
I have some personal questions to run through here,
Yeah, hit me.
if we can. Your walk-up song as a high school baseball player was Linkin Park.
Oh, where'd you find
I
that?
heard it was you said it in some interview you did. Do you remember which song it was?
Oh yeah, of course. Come on.
Why
So I
didn't you-
graduated in 05. So you know we're talking about the early 2000s here. So Hybrid Theory was. I mean that is an album.
Yeah.
Like you can't
Yeah.
mess around with Hybrid Theory. I vividly remember many summer nights, and I don't know. Look, this is Town. Self-installed system in my car. I got the 10-inch 2 Pioneer 10s in the back. Like, we're just hoping that we're not gonna like have a fire based on my shoddy wiring. And I'm telling you, Hybrid Theory just absolutely pounds. Like, oh my God. So mine was Paper Cut. I think Paper Cut is the best walk-up song. Has that like first 15, 20 seconds that has like the dun, 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 boom, 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 and it just explodes. And that's perfect for a walk-up song because you need that slow build as you're making your way up to the plate, and then it's just like, boom, here we go. So yeah, you really feel that one in your chest, I find.
How were you as a hitter?
I'm right-handed, but I'm a lefty. Hit left-handed. So that was my dad's, I think, like pride and joy in a lot of ways, because we're in Wichita, Kansas. He like had season tickets to the George Brett years, and George is a switch hitter, but more power from the left side, and a lefty swing it's like soccer, and a lefty it just looks better. So I was a good hitter. I mean, I'm like look, in high school baseball terms, it's not like I was some prodigy of any sort, but I was like a second team all city, second baseman and third baseman, and was recruited to go to junior college in Kansas as a catcher, and was like, Dodge City is probably not where I'm going to spend ages 19 and 20. So I passed on that opportunity. Dodge City is directly next to a large processing facility for cattle and smells like it 24/7. So yeah, baseball is a great sport. I coached my older son tonight actually in baseball. And I love playing baseball. You could not pay me to watch baseball on TV. I go to the ballpark and have a dog and a couple beers, 100%. But I'm all soccer now.
So in Wichita, you are the biggest Wichita Wings fan, is what I find. This is a MISL team, indoor soccer team, and they were really good. Not really good. They were a winning team, consistently in the playoffs, but never able to get into the finals or win a championship. What was going on with them?
So this is going to sound crazy. The Wichita Wings were never able to get over the hump because they were, for an indoor soccer team in Wichita, Kansas, again, they were too avant-garde. They were a team of, you would think they'd be like the St. Louis Steamers, who were like a bunch of American players who literally wanted to fight you. The Wichita Wings were all European. It was like a bunch of Danish dudes and like English guys, but not like the we're gonna punch your face off English guys, like the sort of like preening, like well-dressed English guy. So they were very much a beautiful soccer team, and it didn't work for them in the playoffs. Like they just ran into buzzsaws too often, and they choked it out. And Steve Zungel was a monster, and San Diego were incredible. And I grew up on stories of the Wings losing to all those teams and falling flat. And I got to watch in my days, because I was born in '86. I got to watch Kim Rumpved and Chico Borja and Kevin Cooley, and I think the last couple of years of Eric Rasmussen, who they called the Pinball Wizard, and every time he scored, they'd play the Pinball Wizard song, which is a very formative memory. And then later on, Dale Irvine, and yeah, my grandma and my aunt had season tickets, and they took me to a ton of games, and that was my introduction to professional soccer. I remember they had vuvuzelas in those days. And I was like, what? This sounds like this is so terrible. Stop blowing that. And like the biggest highlight for me was one, getting nachos, the nachos in the crinkly plastic cup that has the dipping side and then the other side. And then number two was I would go in the basement of the Kansas Coliseum after games and stand in line with my grandma and my aunt with one of those glossy photos and get it signed by a player. That was sick. Like I loved it, man. It was so much fun. And my aunt was a season ticket holder from 79-80, which is their original year. And this jersey, I'll turn so you can see here. This jersey, it's an Admiral Wichita Wings jersey. It's the away jersey from 79-80. It's an authentic jersey, like the ones the players wore. It's signed by Roy Turner, who was the coach for all of the glory years and basically started the club and was NASL in Dallas before that. Before he came to Wichita and started. He's actually still in Wichita. He's like the leader of their Corn Ferry golf event. It's signed by him, Kim Rumpved, Kevin Cooley, I think, and somebody else. But it's like my prized soccer memorabilia possession. It's I looked for years and years to find that jersey.
Speaking of golf, your handicap a couple of years ago was 14-15. How has that trended since then?
Oh, down. Well, up. Yeah, up, not down. I played a lot of golf in the pandemic because I was in Kansas City and working remotely, and having this job has been less conducive to playing a lot of golf. And then I threw my back out last summer, and so I haven't. Yeah, I know.
And that's where the fishing hobby must have come from.
That is exactly where the fishing hobby came from. But golf is a great game. Golf is a mental grind, and that's what I like about golf, is that it's just you. And oftentimes when you look in the mirror, you're disgusted by what you see, and you have to bounce back and try to do something while feeling that way. And fishing is just zen. It's zen, man. I put my phone down. Don't catch a lot, but we're just casting and looking at water and hoping and praying, and that's fun. It's nice.
So I could keep going on these personal questions, guys. Do you have any soccer ones left you want to throw in?
Well, the extra time intro was so iconic. I wonder, like, how long after you saw that clip of Josie talking about cooking something up in the laboratory, how long after you saw that clip did you know that you were going to use
immediately.
it? Okay.
The exact moment. I'm not sure there's a better soundbite in the entirety of MLS history. Like,
I think you're right.
Like, I just, everything about it was you couldn't have cooked it up in the laboratory. Like, it could only come from one person, Josie, intoxicated on the back of a championship in Toronto, just doing his thing. Like, are you crazy? Are you dumb, brother? Like, what happened is that David Goss was there. So Goss was there on assignment to cover that parade because he had been covering Toronto FC for like the last 2 or 3 years a ton, as we did those live shows that we used to do on Facebook and YouTube. I think it was MLS. I should know this. It'll come to me. But it was like basically the precursor to MLS Season Pass. We did studio shows, and we would send him out there, and he would do sideline and interviews. And so he was there. So we were watching it live in the office. And I remember when it happened, and I was just like, clip it right now. Like, clip that now. It's going in the intro. It's like forever going to be there, and we've never been able to take it out. I just think we need more Josies, personally. Like, I love Josie. Right. I love that Josie called us out. I love that Josie just says whatever the hell he wants to say.
Wait, can we? What did he say exactly? Who did he come after?
The tweet.
It was a stray on Bobby.
That's right.
Yeah.
So white boy would connect.
Why don't you just go on extra time with somebody, right?
Yeah. It was which was really unfair to Bobby. Like, I really like that part of it. Like, I would argue with Josie till I was blue in the face about that. But the fact that he was tweeting about us, like, and that was also the Bobby Warshaw run. Remember, like, Schmetzer was calling out Bobby. Like, Bobby was deep inside the brains of some people around Major League Soccer. It was super impressive. He's an absolute monster, by the way, in terms of content creation and just as a person. Like, I love Bobby. I love working with him. And I was so sad when that ended. Like, he's the sort of person where him and I would have we'd be yelling at each other and take like 5 minutes and cool down and come back and be like, have the best ideation and like execution moment of all time and be like, we're good. Like, we're both very type A and wanted a certain thing, and Bobby maybe even more so. But anyway, that's enough on Bobby. Great guy.
What would you yell about? No, it's not enough.
Anything. Yeah, anything. Like, any soccer related content decisions for sure. Bobby felt very strongly about how we should do certain things and what we should talk about. And I felt equally strongly. And it's not personal. It never is. Like, well, sometimes it is. It wasn't personal between us, I would say. He's still a great friend of mine, and I'm just so impressed by him as just a thinker. He thinks in ways that I could never even like fathom.
He's
like,
a serious man.
His brain just goes places and like makes connections, and I'm like, whoa, okay, we're in a new territory. Like, I've got to adapt. And credit to Josie for being Josie, because I think it takes FU money to do some of the things that Josie does, and bless him for getting that FU money. Like, he's riding the wave, and we need more guys like Josie. We need more guys that just say exactly what they think and let the chips fall where they may after that. Like, but I do think that takes money. I think sometimes that takes money, because you got to have you got to feel like you can do it without suffering a huge consequence.
Right.
Well, let me go ahead and read the tweet real quick. I gotta pull it up here, because truly, this is probably my favorite U.S. soccer moment since I've really been following this thing, and I just gotta read it in its entirety really quick. Sorry. Taylor Twellman's national team career was laughable. Beasley should be that analyst, or me or him. Twellman need to be on Extra Time Radio with Bobby Warshaw. He a white boy with connects. Stop giving him a platform, man. I love that tweet so
it's
much.
Josie, man. It's Josie. It's purely Josie, and I that's what I wish for basically all of the people and players and individuals within our little ecosystem is for them to be able to purely be themselves. And he was purely himself in that moment.
When Jesse Marsh was doing corresponding work on CBS for the Champions League, I took that tweet, etched out Taylor Twellman, and put Jesse Marsh's name in there.
I can see that this is a formative part of the lore for you, Vince, and I appreciate that.
Without a doubt, bro. We need more of that.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree. Why do you think people care about the NBA so much? It's a soap opera.
Come on, baby.
It's an absolute soap opera. Guys are just in the new era of podcasts. It's just a snipe fest. They're just pop, 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 pop.
I have something to say about Warshaw, which is I was impressed by his humility, I guess, when he came to play pickup soccer at a scuffed event in Orlando before the qualifier where we beat Panama 5-1. And he was so concerned. I could tell he was so concerned that people were going to think he was trying to show them up, that when he came out on the field, he was going like, I mean, he's a professional soccer player, right?
Yeah, he's good.
Like a
Very good.
million miles better than everybody else on the little court. But he was going like, didn't take it out of first gear. Mostly, I think, because he was just trying to be nice, you know?
He's a great teammate is the way I would describe Bobby. He's a really good teammate, and it depends on, that being a good teammate is dependent on your environment, right? Like that might mean really demanding a lot of people, and he's willing to do that because he's willing to do the work and grind and be that guy. Or it might mean in that case being the person that doesn't make somebody else feel like shit.
Right.
But like the most fun thing about playing with soccer with Bobby, and we played a lot, and like in those days we'd go play pickup as a group of a bunch of people on like Saturday, Sunday mornings, is that he's very competitive, but he'll sort of like tactically set things out, and then he'll be like, okay, well, this is what we're doing, and then he'll be back there just general, go, press, he's like really directing you from the back. And honestly, as someone who's not that great at soccer, that was fun. Like, basically felt I was like getting joysticked by a pro. Press here, okay, sure, I can do that. Move here, okay. Chauffeur
That's
now,
helpful.
okay, yeah,
It's helpful,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's great.
There's a Bobby Warshaw quote that plays in my head almost every time we podcast. I think one time on Extratime Radio, he said, people talking over each other is the cardinal sin of podcasting. And anytime it happens to happen on this here Scuff podcast, I'm like, let Bobby down. Let Bobby down.
Oh my god, that was such a great era of the show because it wasn't video yet, so it was just me, Doyle, Goss, and Bobby in like basically the green room of our old studios in Midtown, which was just like a small room with a couch and a couple chairs. And we were just, I mean, that it would go anywhere. It could go anywhere. Like Bobby would take it anywhere. Doyle would get his hackles raised on something. That was in a good Goss era of just, I don't know. There were just, it was a good personality mix. That's a fond memory. And I'll never forget the Shakhtar Donetsk moment in that very room. I believe it was Doyle that said that like Shakhtar Donetsk wouldn't win in MLS while they were balling through the Champions League with like Willian and a bunch of other guys. And we're just like, what are you on, dude? Like, what is wrong with you? There's just so many little moments like that I'll remember forever. Just because it's a bunch of buddies, it's like when you're drinking beers at the bar. You're like, this guy, for the next 5 years, we're going to talk about this.
That's the foursome I think of when I think of Extratime Radio. I know a lot of other people have been involved over the years, but that's like that's my experience of the show. A very
good
positive one too.
It's a good foursome.
All right. Hey, any other questions from you guys? Vince, Chris?
Do you have any book recommendations about the Balkans?
I absolutely do. So this started for me. Soccer is one of many obsessions. I'm the sort of person that when I find something, I need to know everything, and I can't stop in many cases. And the Balkans arose from an obsession with the Ottoman Empire, which obviously ruled over the Balkans for centuries, and it was sort of a bad actor for many there. And so I started with, if I was recommending someone down this path, I would say start with Destiny Disrupted by Tamim Ansari. It's basically a modern history of the world through Islamic eyes, as opposed to sort of the Christian history that we're often taught. From the Rise of Muhammad to the Fall of the Ottoman Empire. That book is, that's a good book. And then after you read that, you go into 1453 by Roger Crowley. That's the taking of then Constantinople and the transition from the Byzantine rule to Islamic rule. And once you do that, you're like, well, what the hell was happening in the Balkans? And when you get to that point and you're a child of the 90s like I am, and you vividly remember the Balkan War on TV news, you can go into a couple to really kind of wet your beak as far as like real narrative and first-person accounts, and that would be My War Gone By, I Miss It So by Anthony Lloyd, who was a British soldier looking for action in the 90s and basically is like a mercenary who goes in and witnesses a bunch of these things. And then you could also go a more traditional route, which is Love Thy Neighbor by Peter Maass, Maass, and that's more traditional embedded journalism account. And then recently...
Wait, hold on. You were not joking about your rabbit hole treatment of these topics.
No, I can go a lot of different places down a lot of rabbit holes, but this is one of my recent ones. Balkan Ghosts by Robert Kaplan, who was, I believe, the Reuters correspondent in the Balkans in the late 80s into early 90s. It's very much like a one-man gonzo journalism travelogue based around sort of experiencing the modern-day effects of the historical beef and cultural exchange throughout the region. And it has an emphasis on Hungary and Bulgaria, which you don't often get. I'm more up on like the Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Slovenia, Albania, Kosovo side of things. And if you want that, Yugoslavia, Death of a Nation, I'm in the middle of and have been in the middle of for a year. This is me trying to get my momentum going again, because this is a really good blow-by-blow of the years leading up to and the years during the Balkan Wars, but it's extremely academic. And so it's like what you might read in a probably, I don't know, like you're studying it in college, but it's fascinating.
You're reading all these books and then suddenly you're on the really heavy academic.
Yeah, I hit Amazon and I'm in the like bibliography or whatever, and I'm like, he got a lot from this. So next up is Black Lamb and Grey Falcon by Rebecca West, which is like the original gonzo journalism travelogue, historical account, and social examination. It's like it birthed the genre just before World War II, and she traveled around the Balkans and did all this in then Yugoslavia. And then I have The Bridge on the Drina by Ivo Andrić I just bought, and it's a Nobel Prize-winning novel about basically the suffering that the Bosnian people have undergone for the past 5 centuries.
Now,
so,
do you kind of move? Have you gone down various history rabbit holes, or is this the key one? What other type of rabbit holes do you have? I guess.
Well, fishing was a rabbit hole, is a rabbit hole, continues to be a rabbit hole for me. I would say that I really have been curious about the Middle East, and a lot of this comes from a starting point of the Ottoman Empire, and then just goes into like modern day, current events, and then tracking back and being like, well, why is that the way it is? Why are the borders of Afghanistan this way? Why is there historic? What is the Shia Sunni divide? And then I go and on Amazon late at night and buy a bunch of books, and then once I read those books, then I start going down another rabbit hole. The one that the group chat makes fun of me the most probably is when I started on the Ottoman Empire. I went to the Armenian genocide is one that I went very deeply down just to understand how and why, and that's really a like sort of a warning tale that leads into World War II in particular. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm just obsessive. I really am. Like once I find something I like, I need to know more, and that is exactly what soccer is for me. And if it has historical context to it and societal context at all, that's sort of that's the good shit.
You did once. In one interview I was watching, you referred to soccer as the longest, deepest rabbit hole of your life. I think it's probably too late now. Was there ever a point down that rabbit hole where you ever considered turning back, or are you, once you're in, you're in?
No, I'm in. I'm not getting out of it. I think a lot of it comes down to community. Once I got in, you sort of look around and you're like, and that's sort of the whole out in the open joke about sickos and calling ourselves sickos, is because we are, but like the joy is to be surrounded by other people who share the same affliction. And we have our own little languages and our own little tribal stuff. And that's really what keeps me coming back, is going on site and meeting people and talking to people like you guys. And obviously you can tell I miss Extratime because I won't shut up. But I don't think I'll pull out. And I've never thought about walking away in any way. from the very moment I got into it, it was like, it was history. It was examining the differences between cultures and upbringings and individuals. Like, why is this player from this country this way? And once you go down that, it never ends because the game never ends.
Well, bring it back. Bring ETR back.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try.
That's the movement we're starting, or you've started, and we're
Or
jumping
maybe
on.
a podcast about the Balkans seems to be in my future here.
It sounds like you're ready for it.
You should start a book club podcast. I think people would join and see what's Wiebe reading right now.
Yeah, it might get
impressed,
weird.
Wiebe.
It might get weird.
With that bibliography.
Sounds like it does get dark often.
Yeah, it's now that I'm talking about it, I think it's.
I think. Well, you center your reading around the Balkans. It's gonna go someplace.
Well, but it's not all dark. And I think that's the beauty of it. Is like it's not all dark, but I do seem to have a tendency to want to examine why people do things that maybe that I can't understand. And then once you start, that's the human condition. You keep going.
Well, dude, maybe that's the Kansan in you.
I can't say that other Kansans share the same affliction, but if you do and you're a Balkan nerd, please reach out.
I don't know anything about Kansas.
Andrew, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Andrew Wiebe. We'll see you.